Shalom, I will give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to the elders and apostles of great wisdom, teaching me this truth and sincerity. Salutation to the hopeful elect that spread out the four corners of the earth. All right, so the title of this lesson will be spiritually minded and not carnal minded. So we are ordered to be, spiritually minded instead of being carnal minded. And here, it's a clip or a person, on the screen that is, flowing around, YouTube, and he has I guess a defense unit called Hebrew Defense Unit, and I guess this is supposed to be like a unit that's supposed to, protect the Hebrew Israelites and, take back, the land that were taken over by wicked E, in America. But you know, we are not to be carnal minded, right? We are not to use our weapons. Our weapons of our warfare is not, carnal. It's spiritually, right? So I'm going to play this clip. The clip is by Hebrew Defense Unit. This clip is by GMS South Carolina. And the title is Hebrew Defense Unit and Savvy Solomon More Madness. So I'm going to play some of the portion of this clip, and I'm going to get a precept. Right.
It's your first commander, Saf Solomon, reporting. All right, Israelites. Today we're going to talk about that anti-warrior spirit that I got to beat up out of you. First of all, I hear a lot of chitter chatter whenever I'm posting. I'm the
And the thing is, the thing is that we're not, we are warriors. We are warriors through the spirit, not through the flesh, right? We are warriors. There's, I'm going to get this precept, but the scripture says about with weapons of our warfare, right? So that we are when when there's warfare, you know, the very word is warfare, right? So we are warriors, right? But we're not carnal warriors. We're spiritually warriors, right? We are in a spiritual battle every single day. Okay, so I'm gonna play this clip.
former previous military guy who's been in the truth for 2 years. So there's a certain aspect to this I just don't have right, and I totally understand that, and I completely respect you guys on that. Okay, like just to keep it clear, but there's a certain aspect of this that we must respect that the Most High brings us our experience for a reason. So the second that I came into the truth, a lot of this stuff was just already just easy knowledge for me. Now, your anti-warrior spirit guy, right? What does he quote? Our weapons of war, not carnal. You guys spit it out so much and misuse it so much. The truth is, the Most High don't want us doing nothing that's not in His intention. When He said that He's giving you some land, you are to go take that land and you are to go do what He told you to do. Because when you go do what He told you to do, that's gonna work out. Now, there's instances where He'll make it clear, like, "Hey, don't do that because I'm not with you on that." Like, "Hey, I gave."
So
Your anti-warrior.
So here's this precept right here. 2 10 verse 4. And the reason he doesn't understand is because he haven't given him the spirit to understand, right? And to understand what this means, right? Because Yahweh he's the one that's gonna fight. He's gonna fight spiritually and he's gonna fight um carnally on our behalf, right? So there's really nothing we are protected always, we are protected always in spiritual from demons and physically from, people, or 2/3 of our people we can eat. So we are protected, right? So I'm going to read this verse, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. It reads, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal," right? So carnal, going back to Latin word, means fleshly or to be in the flesh, but mighty through the Most High, right? To the pulling down of strongholds, because Yahweh name his name is his name is powerful, right? There's power when you call in that name, right? you know, and the words is the words is truth is you know is a sword, is a sword, is a spiritually sword, you know, because our is a spiritual sword because everything that happened in the spiritual world, everything take place in the spiritual world before it happened in the flesh, right, or in the carnal world. So when we attack the spiritual world, we're technically attacking your flesh as well because everything happened in the spirit world before happening in the carnal world. So, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, right? It's spiritually, right? And I'm going to give that precept. I want to give a precept that going to go right with this precept. But for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to for the putting down of strongholds, right? So I'm gonna get a precept for that. Bear with me. Let's see. Hebrews chapter 4 and 12. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 12 and reads, "For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword," right? Than any two-edged. So this word is our weapon, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of thoughts and intents of the heart. Right. So this word is our weapons. You know, this word. The names YAHAWASHI is a weapon of warfare, of spiritual warfare. Right. And it's mighty. It's mighty through the Most High name. Right. Scripture speaks about that. The Most High name is like it's a strong tower, and the righteous running into it and it's safe. Proverbs 18:10. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 10 reads, "For the name of the Lord, when you see in counts that going to Yahawah, right? The name of the Lord Yahawah is a strong tower. For the righteous runneth into it and is safe." Right. So the names, when we call on those names, we are protected. When we call on the name Yahweh Bashar, we are protected. Um, you know, that is our work. That is our weapon. We're not carnal minded, right? So I'm going to continue this clip.
For your spirit guy, right? What does he quote? Our weapons of war, not carnal. You guys spit it out so much and misuse it so much. The truth is, the Most High don't want us doing nothing that's not in His intention. When He said that He's giving you some land, you are to go take that land and you are to go do what He told you to do. Because when you go do what He told you to do, that's going to work out. Now, there's instances where He'll make it clear, like, hey, don't do that because I'm not with you on that. Like, hey, I gave them that possession. Like, that's what I said was happening with them. I didn't tell that to you, so you have no business even talking about that right here. You have a this is
So is you know, that's a just, we aren't that's just a carnal minded person, that's just a carnal minded person, and we are ordered to not be carnal minded. We're ordered to be spiritually minded, right? The Most High Yahweh says, well, how will we fight? How can we physically fight against wicked E in this time, and take back the land that He stole from our ancestors, right? How can we go back to Jerusalem over there in Israel, to take back the land that wicked E stole, that's possessed by the Amalekites, the fake Jews, right? How are we able to, go to Central Park, or go down there to Florida, or go there to, you know, Texas and all those places to get back the land that was stolen from our forefathers? You know, and physically, dual draw weapons go. He have powerful weapons that is way powerful, powerful than our guns, or weapons that we carnal weapons that we think we have, that can save us out of our troubles, right? So we can't physically do nothing, right? You know, it's just a demon that's bringing demonical heresies, right? You know, demonical heresies, to teach and to tell our people, to fight, fight the carnal fighting, right? To carnal fight against wicked E. Romans, what did Yahushua tell Peter, when he had his sword, he said, whoever live by the sword should die by the sword, right? Romans chapter 8 verse 6. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace, right? Life and peace. So letting your sinful nature control your mind leads to death, but letting the spirit control your mind leads to life and peace, right? So, a carnal minded person means a pertaining to or characterized by the flesh or the body, its passion, appetites, sensual, not spiritually. So a carnal minded person is not spiritually, right? It's not spiritual. Um, Worldly, right? So it's not spiritually, right? So carnal, would you go back to Latin word means pertaining to fleshly. So when you're carnal mind, you're thinking with when you're thinking with your flesh, right? You're thinking with your emotions. Ultimately, you're thinking with your emotions instead of thinking through the spirit, right? This is why we pray. When we do things, we have to pray on it before we do it, physically, right? Because if we just act on our emotions, it will lead us to death and destruction, right? I just read the precept right here, for to be carnally minded is death, right? So to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. So when you're spiritually minded, it will save you out of trouble, out of being put to death ultimately, because him trying to you know take back the land, or trying to be a defense unit. But on the Hebrew Israelite, our defense unit is the angels. Ultimately, the angels fight for us daily, day in and day out. We don't need no carnal minded, no carnal person, no no third person trying to fight on our behalf. Right? We have the angels. We have YAHAWASHI commanding the angels to fight on our behalf, right? So we don't need to. We don't need 2/3 of our people, trying to be a quote unquote, Hebrew defense unit, right? It's just, it's folly and vanity, right? Scripture speaks about all things is vanity to the Most High, right? All things is vanity. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 2. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 2. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. vanity of vanity, all is vanity, right? All is vanity. So let's go back to the Greek word will mean hebel,
Strong's H, 1892.
hebel,
Hevel. Hevel.
uh, vanity. Altogether vain, in vain, ultimately. So ultimately it just means, it's not everything is flesh, right? So actually that worked. Excessive pride, right? Excessive pride and arrogancy, right? So this is, him, this is prideful right here. This is arrogant right here in the Most High eyes. This is arrogant. This is prideful. The Most High. Yamashasha is not dealing with this, right? Yamashasha is not dealing with no Hebrew defense unit. He's dealing with it on the left side, but not on the right side. He's not dealing with it. He's not telling, the true elders and apostles, the true prophets to, create a Hebrew defense unit and to fight, and to take back land, take back land that was stolen, years ago, right? It's just not Yabashanja. He can't be dealing with this group. He's dealing with this group on the left hand side, but he's not dealing with them, on the right hand side. Spiritually, he's not dealing with them. So I'm gonna get. I'm gonna jump from Romans. Let's see if I had any more Romans that I wanted to read. Romans chapter 8. It's like Romans chapter 8. Because these type of people, they get your spirit rise up. They get you, they just get your spirit aggravated. When you see things like this, but everything is, everything is working. Everything is working on the Most High. On Yahweh behalf. So, because 7 verse, because the carnal minded is enmity against the Most High, right? Because when you're carnal minded, you're not thinking according to the Yahweh word. You're thinking on your own, on your own. Because that word enmity goes back to the word hatred, right? The carnal minded, when you're carnal, you're not thinking spiritual. You're thinking carnal. You're thinking on your own, on your own emotions. For it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be, right? So then they are in the flesh, cannot please the Most High, right? And he's not pleasing Yahweh Shah by setting up a Hebrew defense unit. That's not pleasing Yahweh Shah. He didn't tell his prophets, to set up a spiritual he told Yahweh Shah, he told Peter what to not, to those who live by the sword should die by the sword, right? This, look at this. This is the modern day sword. It's a firearm. It's a weapon. It's a gun. This is a modern day sword. So if you think that this can save him from Jacob's trouble or in the last days, then he is sadly mistaken, right? Yahweh Shah will, take him out. Will take him out through wicked. Um, but ye are not in the flesh, right? Which referring to, the teachers, the prophets, but in the spirit. And so be that the spirit of the Most High dwell in you, right? The spirit, Yahweh Shai, he's dealing with us, right? He's dwelling with us through the Holy Spirit, right? He's not dwelling with this person, right? He's not dwelling with this individual, right? This 2/3, Jake. He's not dwelling with him, right? Because he's been carnal minded. He's not been spiritually minded, so the Most High can't dwell with him. Now, if any man have not the spirit of Hamashiach, he is none of his, right? He is none of his, right? This person right here, he is not of the spirit of Yahawah Hamashiach, right? He's not, he's a two-third person, right? He's a two-third Jake, right? And he ultimately gonna get destroyed, either in Jacob's trouble or before Jacob's trouble. And if a Mashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness, right? But if the spirit of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Hamashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal body by his spirit that dwell in you, right? So ultimately, and ultimately we gonna hoping that we get spiritually powers to be able to what we can eat in the carnal in the mortal body. We are hoping that we get those spiritual powers to be able to kick wicked E and keep two-thirds of our people and to put two-thirds of our people to death, right? And that is something spiritually that's going to happen, not carnally, spiritually. Again, it shows in 13 verse 4, if we live after the flesh, you should die. But if ye through the spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye should live. For many are as are led by the spirit of the Most High, they are the sons of the Most High. All right, again. So again, if we live through the flesh, we will die by the flesh. It's going back to our emotions. Matthew chapter 10 verse 16. Behold, I send you for as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpent and harmless as dove. Right, we are to be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. And he's not being wise as a serpent. He's not being wise as a serpent. No, by setting up a defense unit and him being the top person in that unit, he's not being wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. He's not being, because he was being wise. The Most High. We just read in Romans chapter 8, chapter 8 and 13. That if we live in the Spirit, the Most High is the Most High is operating. If we live by the Spirit, the Most High is working with us through the Spirit, right? So if the Most High was working with him, the Most High would have gave him understanding that setting his defense unit is not the right way to go about trying to recapture land. Ephesians 5 and 6. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 6. Let no man deceive you with vain words. With vain words, right? That vain words, which you go back to egotistic, self-complacent, vainglorious, proud, arrogant, overweening, right? So this person, he's arrogant, he's proud. That vain. This will be considered a vain word, a Hebrew defense unit, and telling our people, and what he says in the video, and telling our people, to take that land. That is vain words, right? For because of these things comes the wrath of the Most High upon the children of disobedience, right? So the Most High is ultimately, what you wrath going back to anger. The Most High is ultimately going to take these people out. He's going to take that Hebrew defense unit. It won't last. I doubt it will last. For I doubt it will continue. That the Most High will allow this, right? I doubt it. He might take the person out. I doubt that this is going to continue. You know, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15. Seeing that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. We are to walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. But wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And the will of the Lord is not to, is not to set up a defense unit, right? It's not to, take up our swords and, go fight wicked E, right? That is not that's not the will of the Lord. And we're redeeming the time by what? By teaching, by preaching, by praying, by doing all these things that by being watchmen. Sorry, we are watchmen. We warn our people about the times, about the different nations, about the society, the world is going digital, right? By the MOTB is about to be mature. This is how we are warning our people. This is how we are redeeming the time, right? Redeeming the time does not mean take up your sword and go fight, and go, be, partakers in your flesh by, indwelling in your flesh, right? Because ultimately you're gonna get destroyed. We just read you're gonna get destroyed if you do that, right? Second Peter 2:1. Second Peter chapter 2, verse 1. But there was false prophets also among the people, even as there should be false teachers among you. And if he's not a false teacher, right? He just later told us that First Corinthians he was not talking about that we were misrepresenting, misinterpreting what was the Second Corinthians chapter 10 verse 4 was talking about. It's plain and simple, right? For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High, which is his name, right? Through his name, but mighty through the Most High to the putting down of strongholds, right? So, this is a false teacher, telling, the Israelites that, that those verses are being misinterpreted, right? Who probably should bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon them swift destruction. So he has swift destruction coming towards him, right? He has swift destruction coming towards him, right? And and Yahushua again, Yahushua told Peter, "What if you live by the sword, you would die by the sword." So I won't be surprised if he get gunned down or if he get in a bad, something's going to happen, where swift destruction will come upon him. And there were heresies, which means dissensions arising from diversity of opinions and aims, right? So that is a opinion. It basically, it's false teaching. It's false doctrine, right? Ultimately, telling our people that they are anti-warriors, right? And he needs to, get the anti-warrior spirit out of our people. We are warriors through the spirit, not through the flesh. We are warriors through the spirit and not through the flesh. So that's a damnable heresies. And many, second verse, and many shall follow the pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. Right. So the way of truth, is definitely not setting up a Hebrew defense unit. The way of truth is, redeeming the time, right? Preaching, preach the word. That's what we are commanded to do. Or commanded just to preach the word and be watchmen, right? So he's saying that that preaching the word is not enough. He's saying that preach the word and and wait for Yahushua to. Yeah, there is written that Yahushua said he will rise up to the prey. He will rise up to the prey. Wait until he rises up to the prey, right? So, you know, so preaching, I guess teaching is not enough to him. It's evil. He basically saying preaching, teaching is evil. It's not enough to him, right? So there's many people that is going to follow this person. There's many people who are going to think that this is the way to go, but basically they're not the elect anyway. The Most High wasn't dealing with them in the first, in the Most High wasn't even dealing with them. So ultimately, um, you know, those people gonna have swift destruction come upon them. Those people gonna have swift destruction come upon them. So that's, I pray and I hope that Yahawashai, do something to him, Shalak Rayam, because this is wicked. We are not, you know, we are not to live by the sword. Jude, this is Jude chapter 1 verse 17. But beloved, remember ye the words which were spoken before the apostles of our Lord Yahawashi HaMashiach, 18 verse. How that they told you there should be mockers in the last time who should walk after their own ungodly lusts, right? Mockers, right? Which goes back to the Latin word, which means, here's the definition: mockers, therefore, are those who don't simply ignore wisdom like the fool, but actively oppose wisdom by demeaning those who are wise. And who are the ones that are wise? Who are the people who are wise? The elders and apostles of great millstone teaching, that we shouldn't be taking up our guns and weapons and fighting against wicked E. He is demeaning, the teachers, the true teachers, the true prophets, that that we are being, that being just teaching, just teaching, just preaching, and just waiting until Yahweh shall return and rise up against wicked E is, is not wisdom, right? That's what he's saying. He's saying doing that is not wisdom. So ultimately, again, yeah, those who live by the sword, they're gonna have swift destruction. Those who speak vain things, those who is pride, those who walk by their flesh, those who are carnal minded, they're gonna have swift destruction come upon them, right? Jude 19. These be they who separate themselves since sexual having not the spirit, right? So he doesn't have the Holy Spirit working with him, right? He doesn't have the Holy Spirit dwelling with him. Luke chapter 12, verse 46. Luke chapter 12, verse 46. The Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in sunders, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers, right? So the Lord is ultimately gonna come, gonna come as a thief in the night, and gonna, and ultimately they're gonna destroy, those. Shalom, I'm gonna do a part 2 of this lesson. I'm gonna give our underground praises to Yahawah, Yahawah, QADASH.